So last week had the nerve to be educational. I broke a rib. Painful. QuickBooks tried to move in and become a full-time member of the family. Yankee ended up at the emergency vet with an $850 bill, and then because apparently life thought the week needed a little razzle-dazzle, a kitten showed up on our property. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I thought, this right here is why one income stream makes me nervous. Not because I'm panicking, not because everything is falling apart, but because real life doesn't ask permission before it interrupts your plans. So if you're over 50, over 55, or close enough to know that your knees already know when it's going to rain, stay with me. By the end of this video, we're going to get into why weeks like this change the way I think about retirement income, Amazon influencer, and building options that can survive actual life. Because income doesn't just need to look cute on a spreadsheet. It needs to survive a week like that. And if this is the kind of real life conversation you've been needing, go ahead and like this video and subscribe. Because here on Valerie Creates It, we're talking about modern income after 50, Amazon influencer, affiliate marketing, AI, Pinterest, YouTube, digital products, and building options without turning our lives into another full-time job wearing a cute hat. Now let me tell you about this week because she came in loud. Or last week. First of all, I broke a rib, and if you've ever broken a rib, you already know your ribs are dramatic little divas. You can be sitting there thinking you're almost fine, and then you cough, laugh, turn wrong, reach for something, breathe with too much confidence, or try to sleep like a regular person, and your whole body says, absolutely not, we're still discussing this. So that was already going on in the background. I was trying to work, I was trying to film, I was trying to keep things moving, but when your body hurts, everything takes more effort. Sitting down becomes a negotiation. Standing up requires a strategy. Sneezing feels like a personal attack from the universe. And don't even get me started on trying to get comfortable in bed. That's not sleeping. That's just rearranging your suffering with pillows. Then QuickBooks decided it wanted my full and total attention. And when I say this QuickBooks mess stopped everything, I mean it stopped everything. I was on the phone with them for 2 to 3 hours at least once a day, and some days it felt like QuickBooks and I were in a committed relationship neither one of us wanted. Even when I wasn't on the phone, I was still thinking about it, worrying about it, checking on it, and trying to figure out what still needed fixing. That's the part people don't always understand about business problems. It's not only the time it takes, it's the mental space it steals. You may technically have an hour available to film or write or plan, but your brain is sitting over there chewing on the same problem like a dog with a stolen sock. And when you run a business, those problems don't care about your schedule. They don't care that you were going to batch content. They don't care that you had a plan. They show up, take over the day, and then leave you sitting there at 5 p.m. wondering why you're exhausted and still somehow behind. So that was the business side of the week. Then came Yankee. Yankee is our orange tabby, and if you've ever had an orange cat, you already know peace was never really on the menu. Yankee is a loving and a sweet cat when he wants to be, but he's also got a full-time career in chaos management. This cat has knocked off and broken not one, but 2 coffee carafes. 2. At some point, that stops being an accident and starts looking like a personal mission. He also loves to taunt the dog. He'll lay in wait like a tiny orange ambush predator, and when the dog walks by minding his own business, Yankee jumps on him like he's starring in an action movie. The dog is not amused, not even a little bit. The dog looks at us like, are y'all seeing this? Are there no rules in this house? So that's Yankee, sweet, opinionated, destructive, and apparently committed to keeping everyone humble. But this time, he wasn't acting right. He was mouth breathing, he was growling, just not being himself. And if you've ever had pets, you know that feeling. The minute something is off, your stomach drops. They can't sit you down and explain what's wrong. They just look different, act different, sound different. And suddenly you're trying to decide if you're overreacting or if this is serious. So we ended up at the emergency vet on a busy Saturday night. Now, if it had been the human emergency room on a Saturday night, you might expect a little chaos. You figure there were some bad decisions, maybe somebody who said, hold my beer, and at least one person who probably should have stayed home. But the animal emergency room, I don't know what those animals were doing on Saturday night, but that place was packed. And we were there all night. Now let me tell you something. I'm too old for an all-nighter that doesn't involve live music, room service, or a cruise ship. Sitting in an emergency vet clinic in the middle of the night is not the kind of nightlife I'm trying to bring back. The bill ended up being around $850. Yankee had an upper respiratory infection and painful gas in his tummy from all the mouth breathing, which sounds a whole lot less dramatic now than it felt while we were sitting there wondering what was wrong with him. And because he's Yankee, he growled through the entire exam, through all the x-rays, and apparently even through the sedation. That's commitment. He loves his people, but strangers messing with him away from home? Absolutely not. Come to his house and he's probably going to love on you. Take him to the vet and he turns into an orange security system with whiskers. So now we had a broken rib, QuickBooks chaos, an all-night emergency vet visit with an $850 bill. And then because the week apparently looked around and said, you know what this needs? A bonus round. A kitten showed up on our property. Now, you got to understand this. We live out in the middle of nowhere on 18 acres, so there's no good reason for a kitten to be wandering around out here. We weren't planning to get another cat. We didn't wake up that morning thinking, you know what this household needs? More tiny paws and one more food bowl. There was no plan, no preparation, no tiny welcome committee. The cat just showed up like it had an appointment. And of course, once a kitten shows up on your property and looks at you like it's already filed the adoption paperwork, what are you supposed to do? You feed it. You worry about it. You start talking about where it's going to sleep. You act like you're still deciding, even though everybody knows the kitten has already won. That was the week. Man, was it a week. A broken rib, QuickBooks, Yankee at the emergency vet, and a surprise kitten. And here's why I'm telling you all of this. One, it's a funny story, but there is a point. I'm telling you this because this is real life. This is what happens when you're over 50 and trying to keep everything moving. Your body has opinions. Your business has problems. Your animals have emergencies. Your bank account gets surprised. Your schedule gets rearranged. Your brain gets tired, and the plan you made on Sunday ends up looking like it was written by a very optimistic stranger. And that kind of week hits different when you're thinking about retirement. When you're younger, it's easy to tell yourself, I'll just work more, I'll catch up later, I'll power through. And listen, most of us have powered through plenty. We've powered through jobs, kids, bills, marriages, businesses, family needs, house problems, health stuff, and probably a few seasons of life that deserve their own warning label. But over 50 or over 55, you start asking different questions. You start wondering how long every dollar can depend on you being healthy, available, focused, and ready to drop everything when life goes sideways. You start thinking about how much of your income depends on you personally showing up at the exact moment someone or something needs you. That's the part that got my attention. I'm not saying work is bad. I've worked my whole life. I'm not allergic to effort. Nobody our age got here without doing things we didn't feel like doing. But I am saying income needs to be designed for real life. Not perfect life, not calm life, not everything went according to plan life, but real life. Life with sick pets, business software disasters, broken ribs, surprise bills, family needs, weird car noises, and kittens who apparently don't check the calendar before moving in. That's one of the reasons I keep coming back to Amazon Influencer. Not because it's perfect, not because it's easy, and not because I think everyone should run off and do exactly what I'm doing, but because it showed me something important. A video I made earlier can potentially keep working later. That matters. During a week like this, when I wasn't filming as much as I wanted, when QuickBooks had me tied up, when Yankee needed attention, when my rib was reminding me it had been through something, some of those Amazon videos I'd already made were still out there doing their thing. That doesn't mean every video earns. It doesn't mean anything is guaranteed. It doesn't mean the platform can't change. And it definitely doesn't mean you upload 3 videos and retire to a porch swing with sweet tea. But it does mean the work is different from a service business where every dollar is tied directly to the next appointment, the next phone call, the next client, or the next schedule slot. And that difference matters. For Amazon Influencer, the basic equipment honestly isn't complicated. You don't need a studio that looks like a spaceship. Most of the time you need a decent phone, clean lighting, a way to hold the phone steady, and a quiet enough space where people can hear you. A simple ring light or soft light helps, a tripod helps, a small microphone can help, especially if your room is echoey or your air conditioner sounds like it's preparing for takeoff. But the bigger thing isn't the equipment. The bigger thing is keeping the whole process from turning into a junk drawer with a login. And that's where Viral View has helped me. I use Viral View to keep my Amazon Influencer workflow straight because once you start filming a lot of products, your brain can't be the filing cabinet. Mine certainly can't. I need to know what products I have, what needs filming, what's already been uploaded, what still needs attention, and where things are in the process. Otherwise, I'll spend half my time trying to remember whether I already filmed the thing sitting 3 feet away from me. And that's not a business system. That's just hide and seek with inventory. Viral View helps me keep things organized so Amazon Influencer doesn't live entirely inside this head. And I'll be clear, I am an affiliate for Viral View, so if you use my link, I may earn a commission. But I'm mentioning it here because it's one of the tools I'm actually using to help keep this from becoming pure chaos. Because if you want Amazon Influencer to become a real income option, it needs a process. You need a way to track the products, plan the filming, know what's done, know what isn't, and repeat the same steps without starting from scratch every time you pick up your phone. That's the meat of it, but it does a lot more than that. It makes me extra money even. But a lot of people think the hard part is getting in front of the camera. But for me, the harder part is the system. The filming setup can be simple. The product organization is where things can get messy fast. And I'm trying to make this more repeatable because if something is working, it needs support. It needs structure. It needs a system that still makes sense during a week when your rib's broken, QuickBooks is acting possessed, your cat is at the emergency vet, and a kitten has decided it lives here now. That's what I mean when I say income needs to survive real life. It doesn't mean no work. It means different work. It means creating something once that may have a longer life than a one-time appointment. It means turning ideas, videos, recommendations, content, pins for Pinterest, links, and eventually digital products into assets that can keep helping after the first round of effort is done. That's why I'm also looking at affiliate marketing, Pinterest, YouTube, AI, and eventually digital products. Not all at once, not in a frantic let me build 9 things by Friday way, but as pieces of a bigger picture. I don't want one platform to be the whole plan. Amazon is one piece, YouTube is one piece, Pinterest is one piece, affiliate marketing is one piece, digital products is another piece. AI may help make the pieces easier to manage. But the point is not to collect more tasks. The point is to build something that can survive these messy weeks. That was the lesson from last week. My income needs to be less dependent on everything going perfectly. It needs to be less dependent on me being available every minute. It needs to be less dependent on one business, one platform, one schedule, one body, one system, or one person. Because life is going to keep being life. Your pet is going to get sick at the worst possible time. Your software is going to act possessed. Your body is going to remind you that you're not 27. Your plans are going to get interrupted, and some tiny animal may show up on your property and assign itself to you like a surprise project from the universe or the cat distribution system. When that happens, I want more than one way for income to come in. That's what I mean when I say income needs to survive weeks like this. Not because I want to panic, because I want to prepare. Not because everything's terrible, because life is unpredictable. Not because I have it all figured out. I absolutely do not, but I am paying attention. And at this age, paying attention is wisdom. So if you're over 50 or over 55 and you've been feeling like one income stream might not be enough anymore, you're not being dramatic. You're paying attention too. Maybe the question isn't, how do I work harder? Maybe the question is, what can I build now that might help me later? That's the question I keep coming back to. What can I build now? What can I learn now? What can I test now? What can I turn into a system now? Because the emergency will not wait until I feel ready. The bill won't wait. The health issue won't wait. The family situation won't wait. The business problem won't wait. And apparently neither will the kitten. So here's where I'm going next. I want to talk more specifically about Amazon Influencer because I think it deserves more than I'm making product videos. I want to talk to you about, basic equipment, what you need, what you don't need, how I think about filming, how I keep the workflow straight with Viral View, and how I'm trying to make the whole thing more repeatable. But Amazon Influencer is not the whole plan, but it's a real piece of the plan for me. And if you're curious about that, make sure you subscribe because that's where we're headed next. But before you go, I want to ask you this. Have you had a week like this lately? The kind where everything hits at once and you realize that one income stream may not be enough. Was it a bill? Was it a health issue? A pet emergency? A job situation? A family need? A business problem? Or just that feeling that life is getting more expensive and less predictable? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know because I think a lot more women are dealing with this than they're saying it out loud. And if this video hit home, like it and subscribe. Here on Valerie Creates It, we're talking about modern income after 50, Amazon influencer, affiliate marketing, AI, Pinterest, YouTube, digital products, and building options without turning life into another full-time job. If you missed my last video about why retirement finally got my attention, watch that one next because this video is the real-life proof of that conversation. Life gets messy. Bills show up, plans fall apart. Cats apparently make medical and real estate decisions without consulting us first. So stay close. You're not done yet.